All right, everyone, this is the Atlanta Voice News. I'm Symone Stanley. Today we are joined by two-time WNBA champion, basketball analyst, entrepreneur, social justice warrior, all-around woman of the people, Renee Montgomery. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to start off by asking you, how you doing? So it's been about over a month, I think, since you announced that you're going to be sitting out the 2020 season and to fight, for social justice reform. And we know fighting the good fight really can leave you tired. So how are you doing at this point?
I'm super energized, actually. I'm
Okay.
the opposite because people are pouring into me every day. I
Yeah.
just talked to 70 scholars of the Jackie Robinson
Oh,
Foundation.
wow. That's cool.
And yeah, and just talking to those kids and hearing their excitement and hearing just people's excitement for what I'm going to do, that fuels me because people are giving me their support. So that's like my energy.
Yeah, for sure. I saw you did the Hawks luncheon yesterday with Tori Miller, so that was cool too. So yeah, you got a lot going on.
Yeah, and that was so those little things, they give me just a little bit of fuel, and then I keep going and keep going. So yeah, I'm feeling good.
Especially hearing from the kids, because that's
Exactly.
what all this effort is for the next generation.
Exactly.
So how is it now seeing the WNBA season start up? I know they have the players not only in the WNBA but the NBA were calling from action from the owners, and so now we see the display of Black Lives Matter pretty much plastered all over the WNBA. Yes. So is that what you guys, as in the players, were asking for? Is that what you wanted when you said we want to see action?
Yeah, I mean, and it's more than that too. That's the cosmetic action. That's the action that you can see. It's on the court. It's on all the signage. It's on different things. There's also initiatives that people are going to be doing. When hearing Adam Silver speak about, he wants the vendors to be of the same mindset. He wants the owners. So they want these leagues. It's seeming like they want everyone to make sure they're on the same page, and I think that's the best thing. If you're going to consciously try to hire and have representation, that's amazing. So yes, you can see the cosmetic stuff, but the behind the scenes stuff is going to be what's really exciting.
Yeah, for sure. So I know you represent the WNBA, but you also represent men's basketball as well. I know you've been an analyst. Last season, I saw you at the Skyhawks game. So I want to get your opinion on what they have going on too. So we see them starting up tonight. Black Lives Matter is going to be on the court. They had pre-issued statements that they're allowed to have on their jerseys versus the WNBA, who can have, I'm assuming, whatever they want. What's your opinion on that?
No, I like it. The WNBA, they all have Breonna Taylor on their jersey. Not necessarily maybe every game. I'm not sure, but they do have a Breonna Taylor name on the back of their jerseys, which I think is beautiful. They got the blessings from her family, from her mom. But so that to me, that's a lot. Because imagine being that family, you see a whole league, with your daughter's name on it. So
that's
I thought that
crazy.
Yeah, I thought that was a beautiful thing. And on the NBA side, they had predetermined things like education reform and different things like that. And you even have a Jimmy Butler who was like, I'm not putting anything on it. I'm not even putting my last name on it, so that you guys know when I leave this arena that I'm just a Black man in America. So you have a lot of room for athletes to feel that they can have a voice and have their voice be heard. So, I mean, obviously we know NBA players already have a platform and a voice, but while they're playing, for them to be running up and down the court for a cause, and that is, I think that's exactly what the players wanted to feel.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely powerful when Jimmy Butler said that. Especially with the WNBA, like you said, wearing Breonna Taylor's name, the WNBA, is a league. I hear 70%, 80%. I don't know what the exact number is now, but a league that's
high.
Yes, very high of Black women. And I hear several women say, in their post-game talk, saying how, we are Breonna Taylor. That could have been us. We are the Black women of the WNBA. So it's way more than just a movement for us. This is our life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you think about, so I hear, a whole bunch of talk going around every day. So especially about the Atlanta Dreams owner, Kelly Loeffler. So we all know she's a U.S. senator and politicians have their agenda. So on one hand, people say, when you don't see eye to eye, it's good to have a conversation with people and, educate them, try to, see eye to eye, especially when it's somebody in your organization.
Right.
But then you also hear other people say, oh, they just want attention, to fuel their campaign. This could all be like a marketing tactic. What's your opinion on that?
I think it could be both. And I think you
Mm-hmm.
can still do both. I think it could be, when you're running for a campaign, you're actually running. You're
Yeah.
petitioning for people to vote for you. You have to do things to petition for people to vote for you. So you can tell that the people that she were petitioning was her base. She's saying things that are going to appeal to her base. I think that in the same breath, it doesn't mean that I can't sit down and want to have a conversation. I think that, yes, politicians are going to be politicians, and yes, you can still have conversations with
Yeah.
politicians. So I think it's both. I don't, and I think that's what people are having a real problem with now, even just with how to move forward. You see that there's aisles being created where Black groups are being divided into different aisles and not making a unified force. We all want the same thing when we're talking about this lifestyle, as
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James put it so beautifully. This new lifestyle that this is a lifestyle, and
Yeah.
so if you're going to change things and have a different way of thinking, then you have to have conversations. So that's just how I was raised to do that. So that's my personal opinion.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely like multiple
Yeah, it's split.
positions.
It is.
Yeah, for sure. So you're talking about moving forward, and when sports were still canceled, the whole conversation was, how are we going to be able to keep, the real conversation going about, social justice reform and systemic racism going. So now that sports has started, what is like your ideal of how we're going to move forward to keep the right narrative going?
No, it's going. We just talked about it. It's going. After every interview, I don't know if people saw Tobias Harris's interview. They wanted him to talk about basketball, and he just said, "Look, we're just waiting on the murderers to be
Mm-hmm.
to be to be arrested." Like that's all he had to say. And so I think it's happening right now. The conversation. While there's conversation about sports, there's still conversation about what are people doing in sports, in a sense of their stance. And so if that's continually being talked about, then that is the goal.
Absolutely. So for you, what's next for you? I know you have an event this Saturday in Atlanta. Hopefully, I told them we need to get this interview up Friday because I know you want to talk about that. So it's not past due. So go ahead
Um,
and talk about the event that you have coming up this Saturday.
yeah, it's a back to school. It's going to be a drive through, in a sense of, we want to be very conscious of the climate we're in, and
Mm-hmm.
so people drive through, they get their school supplies and they drive away. It's about as basic as it can get. So like, I hope we can leave a link for people so they can
Oh
find
yeah,
out
definitely.
like that. And other than that, I would say I have a Remember the 3rd of November campaign.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
voting registration campaign coming up, just to connect the thoughts on what is your local government responsibilities, what are your federal government responsibilities, so then you can see how it affects your everyday life. Because people that don't think it affects their everyday life, they maybe don't see how it does. So we want to connect those dots. And then lastly, it's going to be called The Last Yard, and it's basically a push because a lot of students, my mom is a college professor for 30 years,
Okay.
and she said a lot of students drop out for amounts of $100 to $1,000, just that
Wow.
little amount. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so the last yard is about getting those students
That
that
last push, yeah.
last push. We're going to do it with HBCUs because I feel that they need the most attention right now. So
Mm-hmm.
students from 2 HBCUs, West Virginia State University, and also Morris Brown, and we're going to get them that last yard. And
That's
wait, one
awesome.
more thing.
Okay, go ahead, get it in.
One more thing, but Morris Brown, speaking of Morris Brown, being here in Atlanta, a lot of people should know that Morris Brown used to be one of the most well-known HBCUs.
Wow.
They were in Drumline, and they lost their accreditation.
Wow.
So long story short, 20 years ago, they lost their accreditation, and 17 months ago, they started getting it back, and they
Mm-hmm.
zeroed out their debt. It was like almost at 3 million, I believe, and they zeroed it out, and they got their accreditation loan approved. So
Wow, that's
I'm going to
awesome.
try to help raise a lot of funds so that they can get back to their thriving days, because HBCUs and their history is exactly what we're talking about when we're saying education. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I want to start.
That's amazing. Yeah, I definitely didn't know that about Morris Brown. I'm sure our listeners are going to appreciate that very much. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on and, educate us some and give us an update on what you have going on. And we're going to definitely be looking forward to those events. Very catchy titles. Yeah, very catchy titles. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. Yeah, so we're
Thank
definitely going to be looking forward to those events and looking forward to seeing what else you're going to have going on in Atlanta. You say you're not stopping until November, so We right behind you.
No, November, that we ain't stopping then either, but we're going all the way through November at least. We're telling you, remember the
Right.
third.
Okay,
Yeah.
at least November. But
Oh,
yeah, we
yeah.
still gonna feel you after November.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.